Guys, did you know we are the last in South Africa? Ons is die laaste in Suid-Afrika waar al hierdie AI changes gaan plaasvind. Ons en die res van Afrika, wel waar Afrika reeds gepleik word deur hierdie klomp moslim geïnfiltreerdes, waar hulle daai mense so doodmaak. Ek dink gaan Suid-Afrika die laaste gedeelte wees van die wêreld wat hierdie AI changes gaan aanvat. Ons gaan dit wel kan sien met die digitale ID wat sy kop gaan begin uitsteek teen 2029. Ek wil net vir julle hierdie video snippet speel en hierdie is 'n bitter belangrike video wat julle moet kyk. Hierdie video is dalk al 8 maande teruggeneem, maar dit is bitter belangrik dat julle hierna kyk. Asseblief, skrik wakker. Ons kan nie in hierdie trap val nie. Skrik wakker.
AI, artificial intelligence. The way that politicians talk about it, you would think that it was the savior of humanity. Appropriately, perhaps, given the opaque nature of AI, there are very few eyes on the issue when it is debated in governmental forums all around the world. And this is particularly bad here in the UK. Why? Well, partly, I don't think many MPs really understand the implications of what they're debating. Also, many newspaper editors don't seem to grasp the future towards which we are hurtling. The British Parliament was literally debating AI today in the UK, but nobody in the media was giving it the slightest of mentions. Nobody but me, that is. So let me introduce you to the harbinger of freedom, truth and civil liberties, the glorious Silkie Carlo of London's Big Brother Watch. It's an organisation desperately trying to hold decision makers to account. I spoke to her alongside my co-presenter on my GB News morning show earlier today, and I started by asking her what the bill being debated is about and why it matters.
Thank you for covering this because it really is important. These are highly technical legal changes, but they are designed to open the floodgates to automated decisions made about all of us in everyday life. So we hear a lot about AI in the press and from politicians and about innovation and growth and money and GDP. But actually, these are things and the decisions that can be made by machines are things that affect all of us. And it's not just about money, it's about fairness, it's about justice, privacy, our data, health, even the right to life.
So you see, the ramifications are so huge. How do you even start to dissect what this all might mean? How do you create rules around the laws which are being passed to protect the individual and also the collective? We're not just being reluctant here to use an app or pay by phone. It's not about being a Luddite. It's something much bigger than that.
Because already automated decisions are being made in the NHS about things like organ transplants and who is eligible for an organ transplant and who gets higher up on the list. Police forces are using AI cameras to decide who to stop and question. They also use, some forces using AI in custody suites.
Excuse. I'm just pausing here. With this NHI bill that's coming to South Africa, they're going to implement AI here too, that will be making the same decisions.
To decide who to prosecute and who to release. And of course, we're all familiar with some of the high profile stories like the automation and AI that was used in the A-level grading scandal, which of course got it wrong for thousands of young people who had their lives affected. So we need to be really cautious when we're opening the floodgates to machines making sensitive decisions about our everyday lives. This isn't the kind of thing that should be happening in the shadows. It should be happening with an enormous amount of scrutiny and with the strongest safeguards. But actually what the Labour government is doing is saying we're going to water down massively the very few safeguards that already exist, and we're going to enable AI decisions to be made for all purposes about the public.
This kind of thing makes my blood run cold. You know that feeling, we've all been there. A computer says no, or you're trying to talk to a bot online and all you want to do is talk to a human being, because not everything in life is black and white. It's not all binary. There is nuance Well, that feeling, that frustration that we get as individuals, put more AI into our official systems, and that goes on steroids. Imagine this system in relation to, say, vaccines, the latest vaccine that the state says that you have to have. And the state is telling you, not by a person-to-person conversation between maybe a doctor or a medic and an individual, but they're telling you via your phone, and it's an AI system that's making that decision on your behalf. And if you don't take that vaccine, then you can't do the things that you want to do in life. That is where this ends. It's not just about vaccines, though. It might be about your mental health. It might be that you are suffering from depression and you tell your doctor, but this goes through the system. At that point, you're told you have to take medication for your depression, or you can't go to work. You might not want to take that medication. I know this feels dystopian, but this is where it's going. We only have to look at China, where they have the social credit score, of course, and you will have a social credit score on your phone if we don't push back against this. I asked Silkie Carlo to give me a real world example of how this might work to sense the frustration, particularly in the healthcare system.
Absolutely. There was a young woman who was waiting for a liver transplant, a life-saving operation, and she couldn't understand why she wasn't higher up on the list and why her position was where it was. She wasn't informed by the NHS. She had to do her own research and find out that there was something called the Liver Transplant Benefit Score, which, guess what, is based on lots of pieces of data and is an automated score that was sorting people as to when they should be eligible for a life-saving operation. Wow. And she then was able to find out what data was going in, why she was ranked low, and she defined that there were problems in there, and it was effectively making a nonsensical decision. Now, in cases like that, that's a life and death decision in the NHS already being made by AI. I don't think the public have fully grasped, because of the level of secrecy, just how impactful and widespread these kinds of decisions are.
The liver transplant benefit score. Where is the humanity in that statement? Where is a kind doctor or a surgeon discussing that with a patient who's literally facing life and death? We talk about AI as though it is the solution to all these problems. I just can't help but think in all these instances, it's going to create more problems. What does the government say in defense of this bill? Let's look at it. Well, they say that it could boost the UK economy by £10 billion over the next decade. Okay, fine. At what cost? They say that using AI in these circumstances will create conditions for supporting open banking. Quite like my banking closed, actually. Thanks very much. They want to expand smart data schemes. They want to foster tech innovation and competition. Again, we've done this before, haven't we? It all sounds so marvellous. They say that it's going to improve public service because the bill is expected to free up 1.5 million hours of police time annually. That might be okay. There might be some logic to that. If a policeman is policewoman is entering information into a system and a computer can do that for them, then great. But make sure that those policemen don't just lose their jobs. Those police are replaced and they're on the streets and they're knocking on doors and just checking that victims of crime are okay. And maybe knocking on the doors of some wrong ones as well to make sure that they're not misbehaving. The government claim it's also going to save 140,000 NHS staff hours every year. Really? Because every time the NHS has inculcated some sort of technological advancement within the system, it seems to cause nothing but issues. On my show this morning, I was receiving loads of messages from viewers saying they are incredibly frustrated by the fact that they get a text from their doctor's surgery, not from the doctor, to tell them about an appointment. And maybe they've cancelled that appointment, but the lack of communication means that nothing gets sorted out in a satisfactory manner. The government say they're also going to create a national map of underground infrastructure to reduce excavation accidents. I have no idea what they know that we don't know about incoming excavation accidents. Anyway, watch this space. But it's not just health, security and banking. This is about a mission creep to control and surveil all of you. It's no longer this conspiracy theory that some people were talking about. It's already happening. This is what Silkie said.
It's starting to happen in the NHS. We also saw AI creeping into the NHS during COVID when lots of contracts were being given out left, right, and centre. And we're seeing police forces increasing.
Now, just so you know, NHS is the same as the NHI that they want to implement in South Africa. Why does it feel to me like they deliberately creating the chaos in South Africa so that they can implement this AI system? Let's go on.
Using AI, it's also in the welfare system, and often, this is the kind of stuff that is used to the disadvantage of people. So the government is using algorithms to flag members of the public as potential fraudsters, and that's particularly in the welfare system. People who are already on the poverty line. This isn't happening in the city. It's not happening to multimillionaires. It's happening to people who are living on 20-30 pounds a week. And this is spreading across the public service, let alone the private sector.
So there's a theme here. It's not affecting the super rich, any of this. They will always find a way around these sorts of systems. Their privacy may be protected. But it's happening to the little guy on the street. The government are starting to look into bank accounts of people on benefit to make sure they're spending it in the right direction. I couldn't have had Silkie Carlo on without asking her about another massive...
Sorry, I had to interrupt here. You remember that I said SASSA is going to implement the system of the biometrics? Now, this is exactly what she's talking about. Let's go on.
This story here in the UK this week didn't get anything like the press coverage that it should have done. And this is about digital IDs being rolled out when they go to pubs and to clubs.
This is happening in the same bill, that there is this digital identity framework being created by the government, as they call it. And it is basically an encouragement towards more widespread use of digital ID. In the bill, it is pitched as the government kind of giving a trust mark to the multiple different companies who offer digital ID now. I think the most important thing in that debate is to make sure that it stays optional. Yeah. Because in practice, lots of people do need to use digital ID now. For example, if you are signing a new rental agreement or, doing online banking and so on.
I just have to pause here because I need to show you that they do want to implement a digital ID for South Africa. Digital ID South Africa. Let's quickly see here. So let's quickly have a look here. Yes, let's quickly have a look here. This is important so that you can know that we are on our way to having our digital IDs. E-passports within the next 5 years. So yes, Agenda 2030. They need to be able to implement the system by 2030. That is the deadline. Let's go back to the video.
But the really important thing is that you should always have a choice. And so we've been leading the campaign in Parliament on this bill, not only on the AI and automated decisions, but on digital ID to say, fine, make digital ID available to people who want to use it. But you have to legally safeguard our right to not use digital ID and to use other forms of ID where it's really needed. Yeah. Bearing in mind that there are well over 5 million people in this country who aren't even competent or even connected to the internet. And so a lot of people get cut out by these systems, and a lot of people just don't want to use them. Sharing identity data online can be very dangerous as well. So we do need to have these kinds of safeguards and protections so that we don't have to live in the digital matrix if we don't want to.
So we don't have to live in a digital matrix. Some days it feels like we already do. What Silkie points out is the element of choice will remain important. Do you have any faith that it will remain voluntary? Also, imagine being a 18, 19-year-old trying to get into a nightclub. You have to show your digital ID before you get in. You can try and argue your legal rights that it isn't mandatory, that it's voluntary, but you just know where that conversation is going to end. I hate this vision of the future, and I hate being a mother of young people who are going to be walking into this vision of the future. This is a developing story. More of us need to talk about it. More of us need to be spreading this video. Do what you can, spread it around as much as you can. Let us know in the comments below as well your thoughts on this. I will be watching this bill closely and I will bring you the results of it. I will let you know what happens only on GB News Originals on YouTube. I am Bev Turner.
Okay, yes, I know everyone is focusing on the political stuff going on in South Africa currently, but that is just the surface. We need to go look deeper. We need to go look deeper into what is really happening. Why are they distracting all of us while they're going to implement this digital ID thing that's coming to South Africa? I have a very, very big problem with this digital ID that's coming to South Africa. We are facing exactly the same future as the UK if this is not going to be stopped. I'm telling you guys now, we need to stop this. The DA is going to implement the digital ID in South Africa. We need to stop it immediately. We cannot be forced to use it. No, we can see how they are. This is causing a very big headache in the UK. It's going to cause a very big headache in South Africa as well. I'm telling you guys, we cannot scream for, yes, bring this technology to us. No. They are creating chaos for this technology to be implemented in South Africa, so that we say yes to this technology, so that we want this technology. But let me tell you, it's evil. We need to stop. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Like this video, share this video. We need to get the word out. Please, guys. Thank you so much.